Hey there, Jordan Sheridan. Not live on a cloudy, dreary, just awful Tuesday, May 14th in New York City. Hope everyone's having a very, very lovely day. I am not a religious man, but I am praying that the New York Knickerbockers, if you're a basketball fan, win the draft lottery tonight and get Zion Williamson with that number one pick. So I have a little anxiety today, hoping that happens. Not that you care about that. So hope everyone is doing well. Remember, folks, we are actively working to bring you the independent, aggressive, in the field, accurate, and guerrilla journalism that no one else is providing. So you could help us deliver it by smashing the like button on this non-live stream. The more people that press the like button, the more people that will see the like button. Will see this non-live stream, and we are T-minus 12 days. 12 days from now, our live stream ban should be lifted by the YouTube gods, those corrupt YouTube gods. May 25th, by the numbers, we're on a 90-day ban. Thanks to you, CNN, who filed a bogus copyright violation against us. So our live stream ban should be up on May 25th. So 12 days from now, that's exciting. Remember, smash the like button so more people see this. We had a really nice audience yesterday. Over 400 viewers watched live, that is. So let's keep it going. Press the like button and press the share button. You can become a Status Coup member as low as $5 a month. You can become a Status Coup member at $10 a month. We'll go over membership a little bit more later. Right now, we are at 406. Count it, 406 Status Coup members. And with membership, you're not only supporting independent journalism, you're not only helping us build the financial resources we need to go out in the field and cover the Flints of the world. We were in Seattle recently covering Amazon's economic terrorism that's creating a homeless catastrophe. We have been all over this country, if you've been following us for the year we've existed, covering stories no one else will touch, and frankly, the corporate media covers up. So check it out, statuscoup.com/join. You're going to be getting a lot of bonus behind-the-scenes content, and we're going to be increasing that over the next couple of weeks now that Ty is going to have more free time post-documentary, which he's been working on this documentary for at least 7 or 8 months. Follow us at Status Coup on the Twitter. I'm at Jordan Sheridan. You can subscribe to our podcast, bit.ly/Status Coup Podcast. And join our email list. Also very, very important. We need to grow our email list. That's a big, big way to grow a company. We are trying to grow our email list because then we could talk directly to you and not have to worry about being so suppressed on YouTube and Facebook and other platforms. So go to statuscoup.com right now. Enter your email so that we can communicate with you. Promise you we won't. We will not email bomb you 25 times a week, and we will not only email you to beg you for money. But we will email you to beg you for money because, hey, we're keeping it real, baby. We're not taking special interest dollars. We're not funded by the corporations, the special interests, the oligarchs, military-industrial complex, none of it. So where do we start today? Where do we start? John Bolton and Trump, want to go to war with Iran now? Talks of 120,000 troops on the ready to go to war with Iran, so we're definitely going to cover that. More fakakta polling, but a little less fakakta. My dearly departed, may she rest in peace, grandma used to say, what a fakakta. It's kind of fraudulence. More fakakta polling in terms of the Democratic primary, and Joe Biden is doing what Joe Biden does very well on a daily basis, saying things that are ridiculous. But got to start with the warmongers in the Trump administration, because this is not a joking matter. And frankly, I don't really trust the current Democratic Party to fight Donald Trump or John Bolton or Mike Pompeo or any of these greedy, corrupt warmongers. And I knew, I covered the Trump campaign on the campaign trail. I knew he was full of it. And remember, this is a super chat. I'm going to try not to curse today so I don't get demonetized, but this is a super chat. So if you're feeling super, this is another way that we can grow our revenue and get out in the field to cover the important stories that you have known us and hopefully love us for. So leave your thoughts, comments, questions in the super chat, and we will answer you as this stream continues. And make sure you have liked. If you have not liked, I'm worried about you. Gotta like that live stream. It's a thumbs up button. So apparently, White House reviews military plans against Iran, echoes of the Iraq War, which the New York Times helped push us into. At a meeting of President Trump's top national security aides last Thursday, Acting Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan presented an updated military plan that envisions sending as many as 120,000 troops to the Middle East should Iran attack American forces or accelerate work on nuclear weapons, administration officials said. So, right there, the New York Times is simply just parroting the BS, ridiculous, totally void of any facts, warmonger neocon talking points of the Trump administration. Let me highlight this part for you. Should Iran attack American forces or accelerate work on nuclear weapons? Administration officials said. Well, why isn't the New York Times right in the first paragraph saying, should this happen? Administration officials said. By the way, there's no evidence whatsoever that Iran is thinking of or primed to attack America or American forces. This is how war propaganda begins. So, we're just going to print what the Trump administration says. The Trump administration is pushing nonsense and propaganda that's going to basically put us into another war, further bankrupting the country, further killing thousands of Americans, killing tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people in Iran. Let's just repeat the lie. If you're the New York Times. Let's just repeat the lie. Because as we know, repeat the lie, repeat the lie, repeat the lie. Then, all of a sudden, people start to worry. Well, we've got to do something. Iran is, primed to attack American forces. Don't you know? I read it in the New York Times, who just prints whatever the Trump administration says, who just prints whatever the CIA says. Sorry. This New York Times piece really pisses me off. So, the revisions were ordered by hardliners led by John Bolton, Mr. Trump's national security advisor. They do not call for a land invasion of Iran, which would require vastly more troops, officials said. The development reflects the influence of Mr. Bolton, one of the administration's most virulent Iran hawks, whose push for confrontation with Tehran was ignored more than a decade ago by President George W. Bush. It is highly uncertain whether Mr. Trump, who has sought to disentangle the United States from Afghanistan and Syria, ultimately would send so many American forces back to the Middle East. It is also unclear whether the president has been briefed on the number of troops or other details in the plans. On Monday, asked about if he was seeking regime change in Iran, Mr. Trump said, "We'll see what happens with Iran. If they do anything, it would be a very bad mistake." There are sharp divisions in the administration over how to respond to Iran at a time when tensions are rising about Iran's nuclear policy and its intentions in the Middle East. I don't need to read any more of this propaganda because this is not journalism. This is helping the war profiteers and the war propagandists push war. And this is how Iraq started, folks. So let's see. I just read you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 paragraphs in the New York Times. Not one of those paragraphs says there is no evidence Iran is threatening the United States, wants to threaten the United States, is going to attack the United States. Kind of important details when talking about having 120,000 troops ready to go. And I don't really know what they're talking about. Are you having 120,000 troops ready to go to do what? The article says this is not for land invasion. Well, what's it for then? They just going to hang out in the sky? What's alarming about this, and the New York Times, I mean, it's not just the New York Times, it's all the corporate media that's just parroting this. Okay, so your job in the headline, in the beginning of the story, is to say there was never any evidence that Iran wasn't following the guidelines of the nuclear deal, which is one of the few things Obama did right. The Iran nuclear deal, which was hatched under President Obama. There was never any evidence that they weren't following that deal. So that's number one. So this was the basis, right? This was the basis for the beginnings of this Trump talk about we need to get tougher on Iran. And Iran is trying, starting some funny business with us. There was never any basis for this. Trump lied. Strengthened by John Bolton and Mike Pompeo. I mean, they're basically, these two come from the Dick Cheney school of diplomacy, which means bomb, 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 bomb. War, 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 war. Oil, 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 oil. So what's incredible to me is here you have a guy, Trump, who ran on, what are we spending all this money in Iraq and Afghanistan? And if we're going to go, take the oil. Don't go there without taking the oil. One of the faux progressive policies Donald Trump ran on was, let's get the hell out of all these countries. Let's get out of all these countries and let's stop, permanently folding tents up in the Middle East. I knew it wasn't true because Trump has no actual ideology. He says what he needs to say to win the election, or in this case, the day. So if Donald Trump, since a man or woman without a true ideology is just as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than one with a pure ideology, because it means they will sell their soul for the quickest and clearest win. So let's see. Donald Trump has John Bolton in his ear. Well, if Donald Trump thinks rising tensions, or possibly starting to bomb Iran, or possibly sending in advisors to Iran. You know how the government and the U.S. suddenly send advisors to other countries, which is code for ground troops. There's no such thing as military advisors. When you're sending in soldiers to advise, you're sending in soldiers to risk their lives. They're called ground troops. What if Donald Trump thinks that his re-election in 2020 is under peril? What if Donald Trump thinks that it's likely he might lose in 2020? What if Donald Trump thinks that it's likely, remember, Russiagate and MSNBC and all these people, Bob Mueller was Jesus of Nazareth. So all of the talk was about the Mueller report. And the Mueller report might indict Trump, and the Mueller report might save us from the tyranny of Trump. Well, most actual objective people were saying, the real action, the real threat to Trump is not the Mueller investigation, which I always thought was it was all a cockamamie conspiracy theory, Russia. Is the Southern District of New York, who are investigating Trump's financial transactions, his real estate empire, and could indict Trump. So what if Donald Trump thinks, well, if I don't win it, if everything I just said is true, and he's worrying about re-election, which, by the way, the polls right now, the last poll I just saw, which was Emerson, which I'm going to get to in a separate topic, Biden and Bernie Sanders have identical results against Donald Trump. They're both beating him by, I think, 8 points head-to-head. So Bernie beats Trump. 10 points. Head-to-head, Bernie beats Trump 10 points head-to-head. Biden beats Trump 10 points head-to-head. I expect Biden's will go down. What if Trump thinks, well, if I don't start a war, I'm probably not going to get reelected. And if I don't get reelected, the New York Southern District might be waiting with handcuffs for all the money laundering and financial schemes and tax avoidance, myself, my children, and my family have gotten away with since the 1980s. That's where Trump's legal jeopardy and peril lies. Not with Bob Mueller, not with Adam Schiff and the intelligence committees. It was never about Russian collusion or conspiracy or whatever. It's about the money. Follow the money, Lebowski. And like this live stream, even though it's not a live stream. Smash the like button if you have not. Remember, the more people that press the like button, the more people that will see this non-live stream. So, what you have here, folks, is dangerous rhetoric. And, Trump answered some reporter questions today and tamped down, that, I don't know anything about that, and blah, 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 blah. He knows everything about it. And by the way, Trump would start a war with a country if he thought it helped him politically. Which, by the way, for those of you who have watched House of Cards in your day, is one of the plot lines that Kevin Spacey, when he was still on the show, and Claire Underwood, his wife, thought that Frank was going to lose re-election. So they said, let's be diabolical and maybe start a war. George Bush, as the tide was turning against Iraq and public sentiment was moving away from Iraq in 2004, remember, George Bush played on those strands of patriotism. And what did he do? The surge in Iraq. He was reelected. So this is very dangerous. I'm not somebody who takes a lot of time in my day, and I don't spend a whole lot of time talking about Trump, because I wouldn't be delivering to you anything 25,000 other people on Twitter and 25,000 other journalists on CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, Washington Post aren't delivering. But in this case, we need to all, I don't care what you are, progressive, neoliberal, conservative, whatever, come together and say, no. We're already at war with 7 or 8 countries. We're already bombing 8 or 9 countries. The Pentagon just failed its first ever audit. The auditor said, we can't even audit them. It's not even possible to audit the Pentagon because their records are so shadowy and the numbers just don't add up. If there are numbers, because the Pentagon suddenly lost a lot of the information. And by the way, don't forget, this news about Trump and, Bolton readying 120,000 troops comes when Trump is proposing to increase the defense budget to $750 billion. And what is the Democratic Party? What is the resistance counter with? $733 billion. Oh, well, thank God. Thank God we have Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer running things with that brave counterproposal of $733 billion. And by the way, we don't, we're Americans, so we don't, well, not everyone watching is Americans. We have a lot of international viewers too. But if I was a person in Iran right now, I'd get the hell out of there if I could. Because this is deja vu, folks. Nearly 1 million Iraqis died as a result of the Iraq War. ISIS was created as a result of the Iraq War. So, make no mistake about it. Do I think that Trump is as much of a warmonger and a hawk as John Bolton? No, I do not. But it's just as dangerous to have somebody who goes with the political winds as the winds go. And Trump, if you present it to him, let's say it's, November of this year or January of this year, less than a year from the election, and the polls aren't looking good for Donald Trump, and the head-to-heads aren't looking good for Donald Trump, and the economy's not doing as hot. A lot of economists warn of a recession possibly looming. You don't think Donald Trump would say, well, let's rally the base. Let's distract. Let's show I'm tough. Let's show action. Let's send 100,000 troops to Iran. I don't know what the New York Times is talking about, that those wouldn't be for a land war. What are you sending 120,000 troops for? You're not going to have them parked out in a surrounding province. And when America comes, they come long time, if you know what I mean. We stay. We don't just, stop by, as the cool kids like to say. Super dangerous. Super dangerous. And by the way, this is why I even said when I was at the Young Turks, and as somebody who really, really detests Hillary Clinton, if John Bolton was the Republican nominee against Hillary Clinton, I would knock on doors for Hillary Clinton. That's how serious I am about John Bolton. He's a whole different level. I mean, Hillary Clinton's a warmonger, but John Bolton makes her look like a dove. Makes anyone look like a dove. This guy wakes up in the morning with a list and target practice for which country he wants to bomb by lunch. And if he was the president, that's exactly what would happen. But so far today, I haven't heard like an outrageously loud chorus among the Democratic Party speaking out against this. I've seen some on cable television, but why is it that Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Joe Biden, the Democratic leaders, the serious people in the room, aka the most corrupt, why aren't they railing out against this as strongly as possible? Could it be that we really just have one party? It's called the War Party? I digress.
Out front tonight, chaos at the White House. President Trump's deputy chief of staff, his communications director, is
just because of their connection to President Trump. And I know you've been saying...
We learned recently that Donald Trump threatened to sue his former schools if...
Tired of hearing about Trump 24/7? Become a member at statuscoup.com for only $10 a month. Click the notification. With your help, we can start the media revolution.
And before Bernie went on stage, I spoke with his supporters online here, and you really get that feeling from them. A lot of people I spoke with said, this...
Just wanted a quick transition there. Remind you that we are actively working on growing our paid membership. So we really hope you'll consider, if you like the content, if you want to support our in-the-field journalism, I really, really hope you will consider helping us get to that overall, our overall goal is unlimited, but our next mini goal is to hit that 450. We want to get 450 paid members by the end of May. So we have over half the month left. You could go to statuscoup.com/join right now, become a member for as low as $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, or $179 annually. And we have decided to sweeten the pot for you. So any new member who signs up before the end of May at $5 a month or higher will get a Status Coup sticker. Look at this cool sticker. Put it on your laptop, put it on your car, put it on your pipe and smoke it. But you'll get a Status Coup sticker for $5 a month members, and for annual members at the $179 annually level. If you like coffee, if you like whiskey in the morning, no, I'm kidding. If you like herbal tea at night, I prefer my chamomile tea with honey. Annual members will get that cool Status Coup mug. So check it out, statuscoup.com/join. Join the media revolution. And I must switch to a poll. And by the way, I want you guys to let me know in the super chat. This is a super chat as a reminder. If you're tired of me reporting on the polls, if you get it, you don't want me to talk about the polls anymore, I do it because nobody else is. So I want to make sure that as the polls are released, showing Biden crushing Bernie Sanders, I actually go and look at the polls and then report the accurate representation and show you, like I did yesterday with that cockamamie Monmouth University poll, that 67% of those polled in the Monmouth University, New Hampshire poll were over the age of 50. No offense to my viewers over the age of 50. I love older viewers, and a lot of them are progressive. But as we know, by the data and by the trends of America, generally speaking, people over 50 vote more establishment and are more Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama voters. And Bernie Sanders' biggest strength, even though he does have older progressive support, his biggest strength is that under 40 crowd. So there's a new poll that I actually think shows what I've been talking about more than any other poll, in that it shows that when there is a little bit more of an equal distribution of those polled, meaning if you poll, generally speaking, an equal amount of people over 50 that you do people under 50, Joe Biden's not beating Bernie Sanders by that much. But you have to actually look at the age breakdowns poll to poll. So here's a new, this one's from Emerson College, and the results. A new Emerson national poll finds former Vice President Joe Biden with a bump from his official entrance into the race, taking back the lead over Senator Bernie Sanders. The poll finds Biden with 33% and Sanders with 25%. So this shows Biden up by 8 points, which is a decent lead, but it's certainly not the 20 to 25 points we've been seeing in other polls that are wildly oversampling those age 50 and above. So this poll shows Biden up 8 points over Bernie Sanders, which frankly I'm not that concerned about in May 2019. The April Emerson poll has Sanders ahead of Biden 29% to 24%, making this a 13-point swing in favor of the former vice president, which again makes sense because Biden is now a candidate. Then he was not. Senator Harris and Senator Warren are tied for third, each getting 10% of the vote, and Mayor Pete Buttigieg rounds out the top five with 8%. And as you can see, Biden at 33% there, and Bernie with 25%. A majority of Democratic primary voters, 56%, indicate there's a chance they could change their mind and vote for another candidate, whereas 44% say they will definitely vote for the candidate they are currently supporting. And another interesting element of this, which I think goes to show you why most of these polls are not are oversampling older people and undersampling young people. Look at this. A strength for Sanders throughout this early stage of the nominating process has been the support of younger voters. Sanders currently leads Biden among aged 18 to 29-year-old voters by an impressive 41 to 11%. I don't know what's more impressive about that, more shocking to me. 30-point lead for Bernie Sanders, or that there's 11% of people aged 18 to 29 that actually support Joe Biden. I think it's that there's 11% of millennials that support Joe Biden. They probably don't know much about him and are just voting based on the fact that he was the vice president for Obama. However, Sanders' support weakens with age. 30 to 49-year-olds only break for Sanders 29 to 26%, as compared to 50 to 64-year-olds who break for Biden 42% to 19%. So right here, folks, right here shows you that this is going to be an election and a Democratic primary race predominantly not really class. Well, yes, class, but mostly age and class. Bernie up by 30 points among 18 to 29. Biden up by, 23 points over 50. Oh, so Bernie is actually doing better in his core demographic than Biden in this poll. He's up 30 points, 18 to 29, while Biden's up 50 to 64. He's up by 23 points. So Bernie being up 30 points among 18 to 29 shows you exactly why most of these polls don't do an equal distribution, where you have, okay, we're gonna sample a lot of people over 50, but we're also going to sample a lot of people under 40, and specifically people 18 to 29, which are the most progressive voters and generally go for Bernie more. And when I say the most progressive voters, again, I don't mean, I want to make sure not to offend, I don't mean to say there aren't a lot of older voters that like Bernie Sanders and are progressive. I mean most progressive voters voting trends, based on data. So obviously there's exceptions to every rule. Bernie does attract older voters, but by the data, by the trends of America, for you older voters that like Bernie, knock some sense into your friends who don't. Head. So I want to show you the age breakdown of this poll because it tells an important story. Here we go. And sorry, this is the best I could do. I had to go into the Excel sheet. So, how many people did they poll age 18 to 29? 160. So that's about 16% of those they polled were age 18 to 29. How many people did they poll age 30 to 49? 306 people. So that's 30.5% of those they polled were age 30 to 49. How many people did they poll age 50 to 64? Which would favor Joe Biden, 35.4%. How many people did they poll age 65 and older? 184, 18.3%. So let me get the graph that Colin sent me. And sorry, he sent it to me after I started recording, so the screen is about to go black for a minute. Hold on, farewell. I've come to see you go. Okay, so Colin made this graph to give you the illustration even better. This Emerson College poll, 53% of those they polled are above 50. 46% of those they polled are below 50. Source, Emerson College. And give it up for Colin Tooley. Man, this guy, I message him. I say, hey, he's helping us. Well, I don't want to get him in trouble, but he has a full-time job. So he's helping us around his full-time job. But I send him a chart request. I send him a graphic request. He gets it to me within like 10 minutes. Love him. Love him. So why I'm showing you this is the overall poll results show Biden up 33 to 25. Biden up 8 points. Now, that to me is reasonable. I could believe that Biden is up by 8 points. He's the former vice president. Obama, right or wrong, is still very popular. 8 points, although not a small lead, it's a decent lead, is not an insurmountable lead in May 2019 for Biden over Bernie Sanders. I actually think that's exactly where I would want to be if I was Bernie Sanders. But why is it that this poll shows a smaller lead for Joe Biden, while all these other polls are showing, he's up 20 points, he's up 25 points. Some polls I've seen have him up 30 points. It's exactly what I just showed you. It's a more equal or close to equal distribution among the age groups. So 53% of those polled were over 50. It's the majority of those polled were over 50, but not by a crazy amount. 46% polled were below 50. So although I would like to see polls that are even closer than this, I think it would be better if you had, 48% polled below 50 and 51% above 50. Bottom line, when you have a more equal distribution of the age breakdown, when you have a more equal distribution of the ages polled, you have a much smaller overall lead for Joe Biden. Again, 33% to 25%. That ain't nothing, folks. I'm not saying that as a Bernie bro. I'm saying that as somebody who knows politics and covers this for a living. That is not a big lead for Joe Biden. And again, the reason you see not a big lead is because, to Emerson's credit, they are polling a more, I don't want to say equal because it's still a discrepancy, but that's a lot closer. This gap, meaning they polled, yes, a majority of people that were over 50, but overall, they did poll a decent amount, a good number of people under 50, and that's why Bernie is only behind by 8 points. Now, if they did a 50-50, whereas equal, I think Bernie might be tied, if not, maybe down a little bit. So that's why I'm showing you this poll, because, the neoliberals on Twitter, when I put this stuff out there and I take on the polls, you're degraded as, oh my God, he's this Bernie bro guy here. He's not a journalist, and he's just a sore loser, and Bernie people can't deal with reality. No. This is reality. This is data. This is the actual breakdown of the polls, and you never ever. When's the last time you saw CNN, MSNBC, or if the New York Times does a write-up of these polls, if the Washington Post writes a story based on these polls, do they ever get into the age breakdown or why that matters? And I want to also debunk this nonsense that you hear. Well, Jordan, they're just polling based on how voters voted in 2016. No, they're not. No, they're not. I could actually show you, I don't know who it is, but I retweeted him because this guy is right on the money. So let me find the tweet. This person tweeted out oh, here it is. This person tweeted out in terms of the New Hampshire poll that I debunked yesterday from Monmouth University that showed 67% of those that they polled were over the age of 50. Some people on Twitter were saying, well, that's just how New Hampshire voted. No, it's not. There's a huge, right here. See, the police are coming for the pollsters. There is a huge difference between what the age breakdown was in 2016 to how polls are being conducted today. This is New Hampshire. 19% was 18 to 29, 22% was 30 to 44, 42% 45 to 64, 65 and older 18%. This was the actual breakdown of people that came out and voted. So Bernie Sanders, by the numbers, 19%, 22%. A lot of young people came out in New Hampshire. It wasn't an overwhelming amount of people voting in New Hampshire that were 65 and older, or even 50 and older. There was, frankly, it looks like, just as many as young people. And when I say young people, people under 40, that generally are for Bernie Sanders. And if you remember, by Bernie Sanders' first 3 months, the first 3 months of this year, he raised $18.2 million. His campaign said the majority of those donations came from people under the age of 40. Not rocket science, folks. So I'll continue reporting on these polls as more polls come out and there's more falsehoods, deceit, deception, and fraudulence to expose. Remember, press the like button if you have not smashed that like button. Remember, we are actively working hard to grow our membership. And if you sign up as a member while we're broadcasting right now, I'll give you a shout out in the super chat, since I can't give you a shout out live because we're not live. Again, if you came late, 12 days left till our YouTube ban lifts and we will be able to go live again. So become a member, statuscoup.com/join. Membership is how we grow. So keep it coming if you can. Now, Jen Dyes, my business partner, co-creator, co-founder of Status Coup. She did some great reporting at the Venezuelan embassy in D.C. last week. She would be there more if she could, but she got 2 kids, so obviously you can't be there as much as she would like. But Jen recorded a video a little bit earlier that I want to air for you, giving you an update on the standoff at the Venezuelan embassy, which last night included an attempt by the police to raid the Venezuelan embassy and kick out the embassy protectors that have been there for 34 days. Here's Jen to give you an update on what's going on there.
Hey there, this is Jen, and I'm here with an update on what's going on at the Venezuelan embassy in DC. So yesterday I did an update kind of in the moment where police were actually trying to get into the embassy. They had posted a trespassing notice saying that if the people inside didn't get out, that they would be arrested. And firefighters came with bolt cutters, and it looked like they were clearly going to break in and arrest the embassy protectors inside. Well, got an update for you. They did not get arrested, those embassy protectors. they are still in there. To give you a very quick rundown of what's going on, it's kind of a proxy war of what's going on in Venezuela right now. The United States recognizes the Juan Guaido, what would be a regime, as the Juan Guaido as the president of Venezuela, even though he was never elected. So the opposition outside of the U.S. embassy is full of Juan Guaido supporters. These are often wealthy, lighter-skinned Venezuelans who live in the United States and have decided to go along with U.S. regime change for some reason. Inside are embassy protectors who are not necessarily pro-Maduro, the current president, the actual elected president in Venezuela right now, but who are anti-coup, anti-regime change, anti-war, and who are in there protecting the embassy. They are okayed to be there by Maduro, Maduro's workers, whoever, the ambassadors, and they're saying, according to the Vienna Convention, that the police entering, breaking in, and arresting them is a violation of that. So it might seem complicated. Go ahead and look at my other videos if none of this makes sense to you. Hopefully that little explanation helped. The bottom line is it's a proxy war between pro-Guaido people and anti-war people. And the anti-war people are inside the embassy right now. The pro-Guaido people want to be inside the embassy. And they're actually, Carlos Vecchio is the Guaido fake ambassador who has essentially tried to order the police, via Guaido to enter in, to break in and get those people out. But they were convinced not to, and you'll see exactly what happened. I'm going to go through some tweets and some videos to show you what went down. It's astonishing. This is a major win. It might not be a permanent win, but it's a major win for Code Pink and the Embassy Protection Collective and everyone who is anti-war, anti-coup, and pro-democracy. So the first thing I'll show you is the Code Pink update. And they say this was last night, again, May 13th at 9:22 p.m. Eastern. Code Pink said, update, it seems that the police broke the lock, interacted with embassy protectors on the inside, and relocked the door. 4 protectors remain inside and the Embassy Protection Collective lives. Remember, the scene last night was that a bunch of DC policemen were trying to break in. They had gotten the fire department to come with bolt cutters. They were going to break into that embassy, but they didn't do it. So let's see why. Update. This was again from last night by the Answer Coalition. This was at 11:24 p.m. yesterday, May 13th. Embassy Protection Collective members remain inside. They stated to U.S. Secret Service explicitly and repeatedly they will not leave if it means the U.S. violates the Vienna Convention by making an illegal eviction and unlawful arrests. And you can see there in this picture the 4 embassy protectors who are still inside. There were more, but now there are 4. And they are victorious for last night and still in there right now. You can see their signs say stop the coup, no war for oil, and that is the kind of peaceful message that they have been spreading. Now here is Mara V, lawyer of the Embassy Protection Collective, who is explaining what happened. And she's amazing. I actually did an interview with her that you can find on our channel. She is one strong, powerful woman. So let's see what she had to say about what went down last night.
So the people inside were very clear. They were asked if they were going to leave voluntarily. They said that they would in fact voluntarily leave under circumstances that upheld international and domestic law. They were very clear that they were very concerned about violations of international law, the cascade effect of the U.S. government seizing an embassy, what would happen if U.S. government officials and officers entered upon an embassy, and what that says in terms of the Vienna Convention. And they were resolute, they were completely totally nonviolent, they were peaceful, but they were saying repeatedly that they were standing for the law, that they were standing up for international law, that they were demanding that there be a peaceful resolution, that would involve a caretaker for the embassy, as is normal under the Vienna Convention, and they were rejecting any violations of the Vienna Convention, rejecting any violations of international law. They made it clear that they stand for peace and they stand to stop a global cascade effect that could have huge repercussions for people.
Again, that was Mara, and she is the legal counsel for the Embassy Protection Collective. So you can see that what happened there was peacefully these embassy protectors spoke with the police and the Secret Service and said, look, you're breaking the Vienna Convention. We will willingly leave once the Vienna Convention is followed and this is legal. Otherwise, we're not leaving willingly. And through Mara and through those 4 wonderful, amazing people inside, they're still in there. They are still in there. Let's keep going with updates. Medea Benjamin, Code Pink has been very involved in this, and Medea Benjamin is the leader of Code Pink, and she said 4 amazingly courageous embassy protectors are still inside the Venezuelan embassy. Heroes. You can see those 4 people. This is Margaret Flowers on the lower right-hand corner. She actually ran for Senate under the Green Party in Maryland, as a side note. And Alex Rubenstein, this is Ford Fisher's tweet, at Ford Fisher. I definitely recommend that you follow him. That's Fischer, Ford Fisher. And he is on the scene in DC often, I'd say all the time, at whatever is going down. And he always has great footage. So this is a little mini interview with Alex Rubenstein, who's another journalist who was actually embedded inside of the embassy with the embassy protectors. But he chose to leave because he had been getting many death threats, actually, from the pro-Guaido people. So here, Ford Fisher says, I saw at Real Alex Ruby as he was leaving the embassy. At Ali Tweets News, I asked him a couple of questions about what was going on inside, but here's him explaining the conditions and lead up to 3 people departing. At KBZs, at Dr. M. Flowers, and 2 others are still inside.
On the front door, I believe it was Metropolitan Police Department that posted it, and basically the order said that we were trespassing and that we needed to leave if we didn't want to be arrested. What this memo also said was that this was done on the orders of Carlos Vecchio, who is Juan Guaido's fake ambassador to the United States. Obviously, the Embassy Protection Collective does not recognize his authority. Neither does he have any authority in Venezuela. He doesn't control the airports. He's never, Juan Guaido, his president, so to speak, has never won an election, and it's totally runs counter to.
Do more people stay inside?
There are people inside still who are risking arrest right now. Obviously, this is totally against international law. The UN recognizes the government of Nicolas Maduro. It's the only government with power in Venezuela. And the United States government, in an attempt to further its coup, to bolster its coup, has decided to seize this embassy and reclaim it as a coup plotting center. It's going to be used by the CIA, by other agencies, to continue to subvert democracy in Venezuela. So that's what the Embassy Protection Collective was taking a stand against. Again, I'm a reporter who is embedded inside. I've been there since Wednesday, the 24th of April. So over a few weeks now, and I've been staying there since we fell under siege and before that. It's been pretty creepy, actually. People have been sleeping in the garage because there's been constant break-in attempts. People are calling my name personally at night, trying to intimidate us. We've overheard them saying, that they want to inflict as much fear to us as possible. So and then again, there's the food shortages and the water shortages. So everything's been rationed. It's been an extremely uncomfortable situation, and the United States government has watched on as a violent mob has laid siege to an embassy in this country. Clearly, that's some violation of a U.S. criminal code. I can't tell you which. I'm not a lawyer, but it's a clear violation of some law, and it's happened at with Secret Service, and then they were recently swapped out by Metropolitan Police Department. It's happened under their watch.
Okay, so you have there Alex Rubenstein, journalist, who is talking about the conditions inside of the embassy right now, and that's a very important point. It's not all peaches and roses inside the embassy. They have cut off the power, they've cut off the water inside, and that's through Pepco, if you want to give them a call. And DC Water, I don't know what their provider is for the water, but inside they have no running water. They've been collecting rainwater. They have to ration the food, partially because whenever someone tries to get food to the Embassy Protection Collective, they're often attacked. They have had, so what they have to do, because people aren't just going in and out the front door, the Embassy Protection Collective, one of them will throw a rope down, and then people will tie a bag of food to the end of the rope, and then they'll kind of pull the rope up. But the last time I saw a video recording of them trying to do this, the cops actually cut the rope. They were actively preventing the people inside from getting food. So they've had to ration food, they've had to ration water, they have to sleep in the garage for their own safety, and the conditions inside are not great because of what the pro-Guaido people and the Secret Service and DC Metro Police, who are all complicit in this, are doing. So let's keep going. We have another Ford Fisher update at Ford Fisher. By the way, last night I was across the street and could mostly just see the cops' backs. This incredible photo by Mara Verheyden Hilliard, who is the amazing legal counsel at the PCJF, follow them, shows what the cops were seeing. So when the cops were inside talking to the embassy protectors, this is what they saw. Right now, I believe the cops are inside a little foyer at the front door. So you can see that they are all wearing signs, all four of them. No coup, hands off Venezuela, and it's hard to see the last one and the fourth one if she is indeed wearing a sign. I'm not sure. But anyway, you can see that they were peacefully talking to the police, and the police did in fact stand down, which is absolutely amazing. And here today is an update. This is May 14th at 12:39 p.m. Again at Ford Fisher. Please follow him. He's a fantastic journalist, photojournalist. Let's see what what the four embassy protectors still inside have to say.
Yeah, good. All right, good to see you.
Great,
yeah, buddy.
Great sleep. It's all good.
You got it, man. You got it.
You guys look good.
Yeah, you look great.
You guys look really good.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, good. All right, good to see you. Yeah, buddy.
This is absolutely amazing. I am so happy that the Embassy Protection Collective is still inside, the four that are still there. Who knows if more people might go back in, I don't know, or what might happen next. You know, things could change minute by minute. Things could change tonight, things could change tomorrow, but for right now, the Embassy Protection Collective is safe inside, and they've prevented the proxy war coup. They are absolutely amazing. So, Secret Service, DC Metro Police, DC Firefighters, 0. Embassy Protection Collective, 1. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
That was Jen with a great report on the growing growing threat of a raid in the Venezuelan embassy. And ironically, as we were airing that, there are now tweets going around the Twitter that it is expected that the police will try and raid the embassy again tonight. Let me find this. Here we go. This is from Alex Rubinstein, who's been reporting very well on this. He was there last night, and he tweeted out, back at the Venezuelan embassy, a raid is expected. Hold on. Back at the Venezuelan embassy, a raid is expected soon. A State Department representative is stationed by the main entrance. And unfortunately, you're starting to see this in a lot of stories around the country. Alex, a journalist who was there last night, who's been there pretty much for this whole standoff between the Venezuelan embassy protectors, including Code Pink, and the Juan Guaido opposition, in my view, puppets protesting. The police are now trying to basically block out journalists that are telling the story of the embassy protectors. This is from Fort Fisher, just arrived. First thing I see is that the police have segregated press from activists, and police are arguing with Alex Rubinstein that he isn't press and won't let him in. They just took him aside to talk without media seeing it, and as I type this, that seems to have failed. So I saw this in Standing Rock. They've tried to do this with me. They tried to do this with me in St. Louis, where they say, well, you're not a journalist, so you don't have press protections. And they try to shut down your camera. They try to take your microphone away and all this. And obviously, it's the police or the Secret Service who logically should be deciding who is and who is not a journalist. And this is what they do. So if they know that a journalist has a following, if they know that a journalist gets a big audience, they'll go and target that journalist and say, well, you're not a journalist. And if you're not with the New York Times or the Washington Post or one of these legacy corporate outlets that have lawyers and have a big, you don't, as police, you don't necessarily mess with those mega platforms because you know their reach and you know that it will get out that you are violating press freedoms and attacking the New York Times or the Washington Post. It won't look so good for you. But if it's somebody live streaming or an independent journalist or a freelancer and police want to shut down your stream, want to shut down your feed and make sure people don't see what they're actually doing, which growing more and more in this country is illegal. I give you Standing Rock. I give you Ferguson, Missouri, St. Louis, where Ty and I were arrested. Then they just say, well, you're not a journalist. And like that tweet just showed, they're separating the journalists at the embassy from the activists. So we'll monitor what goes on. It could be that tonight they actually do raid the embassy successfully and kick the embassy protectors out. But last night, the embassy protectors, as Jen reported, said, come in. You'll have to arrest us to get us out of here. So we'll see what happens. But the fact that you have a State Department official there, the fact that you have, there was a van there, I think I saw on the tweet, that usually showed like a van or a paddy wagon to put in people they're arresting. It's not looking good for the embassy protectors, but we'll try to update you as best as we can. This is the frustrating part about having a live stream ban. When you can't go live, you have to record everything and then turn it around as quickly as you can, or as quickly as your computer will upload it. You have to turn everything around very quickly, so it's often, in cases like this, we can't go live when breaking news happens. But we're trying our best to update you, recording it early and turning it around very quickly. With that, I bid you adieu. Reminder, folks, we are actively working extremely, extremely hard to get our paid membership up. The more paid members we have, the more we grow. The more we grow, the more revenue we have. To hire another full-time reporter, which is a big goal of ours. We don't want Status Coup to be just I, or just I and Jen, or just Ty, Jen, and I. We want to hire other reporters so we can cover many more important stories that the corporate media and some independent media are covering up. So, become a Status Coup member. It's statuscoup.com/join. You can become a member for as low as $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, or $179 annually. And if you came a little bit late, we're sweetening the pot. So any new member in May, any new member that signs up for the rest of May, you will get a Status Coup sticker. And you could put that sticker wherever you want it. But look at that cool sticker. And any new member that signs up at the annual $179 annual level gets that cool Status Coup mug for coffee or tea or whatever you want to put in there. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Remember, folks, most people are not lacking compassion in this country. Most people have no earthly idea what is going on. Peace out.